Welcome back to Inside the Wolf's Den with your hosts, Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkle. So today we actually have a guest with us, and I'm actually pretty excited about this one because we're going to be talking about fitness. You all know that we're pretty passionate about fitness, but even more so as being an entrepreneur and how important that is, right, to kind of balance your fitness as well as your mental health. So I actually have Vinny on, Vinny Castanho. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Appreciate you guys having me.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to have this interview, but before we'll go ahead and get into your bio. So Vinny graduated from the Indiana and University of Pennsylvania with a Bachelor in Dietetics Nutrition. After that, he became certified by the National Academy of Sports Medicine as a personal trainer. He started his career at a local gym where he quickly built his clientele and became the top trainer. He realized he had no more room to grow in that gym. That's when he took a bet on himself and left the gym to become a fitness entrepreneur. After a year successfully coaching as an independent trainer, he realized he had reached another ceiling. With a fully booked schedule, he had no more time and therefore could not impact as many lives as he wanted. That's when he bought his coaching business online so he could scale his business and have no limit on how many individuals he can help. Vinny he enjoyed working with fellow entrepreneurs, executives, and VPs the most. Since there was a common ground and reliability because of that, he became particularly skilled at building quick, effective workouts, adapting workout schedules on the spot, and innovating different nutrition approaches to fit into the business lifestyle of his clients. Vinny holds a relentless work ethic and finds great joy in over-delivering to his clients. Again, Vinny, excited for this interview. Kind of get us a little more intro on how you got started. I know you said you got your personal trainer and worked at a gym, but this whole niche of working with entrepreneurs, how did that begin?
So basically the way it happened was, so when I first went online and I started, my business online, I thought it was just going to be a simple thing where I just, was like, hey guys, I'm online now, I'm working with people online. And I tried doing it on my own for a while, and I was like not having any success at all. And I was like not liking it because I'm a very, successful person. So I don't like when things not working, right? So I started doing a self-audit, and I was like, why is it not working? Like, what am I doing wrong? And in between trying to find the answers, I ended up, actually investing in a mentorship program because I found out that there are thousands of, mentorship programs specifically for what I do, which is trying to transition from a personal training business in person to online. Mm-hmm. And then what I found was a big thing that they were explaining to me was about having a specific niche, right? So like there are coaches out there who specialize in, they work with moms only. They're coaches who work with ex-athletes, et cetera. Mm-hmm. So, and that was like, that what he was telling me, he was like, because if you're putting content out there that's general content and doesn't, you're trying to speak to everyone, and you're going to speak to no one, right? And that really hit me deep. And I was like, okay, I am kind of putting content out there, just like random, like general content. Mm-hmm. Here's a tip for this, here's an exercise for this, and at the same time, I was like, I'm becoming Google now, and I can't, that's why it's not working. So I wasn't really speaking to anyone specifically, any pain points or specific problems that they might go through. And so I thought about it. I was like, well, if I'm going to speak to anyone, like I think I could really relate to entrepreneurs because I've been battling a lot of stuff growing my own business, with making, time for myself, because I went through a phase where, I actually, neglected my own health, building my own business. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I was preaching people to be healthy. So I was like, okay, so this is the problem right here that
right.
I really feel like deeply, and I found a solution to it because I overcame that. And so I was like, I can really, not only relate, but I can provide value at the same time. So like, this is my people. And so this is going to be my thing, my niche, I'm going to, just be the coach for these people basically. So that's kind of how.
Well, I know I've been following you for a while on Facebook, and I immediately when I saw what you were doing, I thought, oh, this is cool because, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, life is crazy, right? I mean, we are stressed out sometimes to the max, and I think people just don't spend time to really focus on their health and fitness. And to be honest with you, if it wasn't for spending time on that, like I would go crazy personally. Like I look forward to the mornings where I have my workouts, right? And so I thought it was just a cool niche that you are, catering to entrepreneurs and really speaking to them that yes, you need to focus on this. This is a priority. You should make it a priority.
Yeah. And
Exactly.
something from what you just mentioned, I think the two key takeaways from that was, number one, you found a mentor. And we talk about that on this show all the time about when you're, no matter what industry, even Joni and I today, you still seek out mentors
Right.
for different levels and then you focused on a particular niche, and I think, and you weren't, especially I think as everybody's trying to build their personal brands or build their company brands, like you hit it, you nailed it, because like rather than going wide and talking about all these different subjects or just going out to everybody, you specifically targeted a certain niche, certain individual, certain avatar. And then, so I think it's key that and then all your content directed at that particular avatar. So it's awesome.
Yeah. So let's get deeper into this. So Vinny, can you have it all? Could you be a successful business owner and have an incredible body? And if so, how do we get there? What's the secret sauce?
So of course, it definitely is possible. I think it's really just about finding, balance, time management, and priorities, right? I think that if there's a will, there's a way, basically.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think that like most people think that they need to spend like hours and hours, at the gym, and they need to be super strict with their diet for them to be able to have a really good body, right? But in reality, like if you have an actual training program, you could be spending 4 hours at the gym per week, and you could see really, really good results.
Right.
The problem that I see a lot is that, most people, they end up working out versus training, right? There's a big key difference in the words, training and working out. So if you have a training plan that is, specific to your goal, it's measurable, there's periodization, phases, etc., then 4 hours out of the week, like could really give you like some awesome results.
Right.
Right. And versus working out, right? Because most people are working out, so it's kind of a random type of thing. They go into the gym, they do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. What kind of like they feel like.
No really plan.
So there is nothing is measured. And so then they're like, oh, okay, so if I'm going to do this, like I'm not seeing results, so I probably need to go more. And they start to go more. They're like, yeah, they see like people online, and they're like, oh, these guys, they're probably working out hours and hours, out of the week, and I don't have that sort of time because I'm so busy. But in reality, you just need, first, I think is time management. I think is very important because of, one of the biggest objections that I hear from entrepreneurs is that they don't have time.
Yep.
Right. And I think we all have time if we manage our time correctly.
Absolutely.
Right? We can make the time. That's what it is. Like, it's not that we none of us really have the time, if we're being honest. It's just about making the time. We realize that's, that should be a priority. Like, that should be part of the business plan, because if you're more fit, like you're going to make more money because you're going to feel better, you're going to perform better, you're going to have more energy, you're going to be more productive. So at the end of the day, I think that if you're in any type of leadership position, and not like at least in decent shape, like I think you're doing a disservice not only to yourself, but to the people around you. Right. So I think that's key, like the time management one, just really finding the balance, really, because a lot of people say like, oh, they don't have the time, but they, at the end of the day, they might be, binging, Netflix and, doing like, drinking, etc., and just like sitting on the couch. So at the end of the day, it becomes it comes down to the priorities as well, and prioritizing your health, because, that's your, your biggest asset. So.
Awesome. Do you find that like one of the most important is having an accountability partner or a coach or somebody or mentor do you find that clients are more successful if they invest in a coach or invest in somebody to help them with their diet, help them keep them accountable, hold them, if they got to show up somewhere every couple times a week, you're more likely to work out than
Yeah, that's huge. That's a huge that you said right there. The accountability, I think it's for a lot of people, especially, for somebody that, wouldn't really say that they are self-motivated, they could definitely benefit from any level of accountability, right? So I think accountability can come in different levels. It could be you literally telling a friend that, hey, I'm jumping on a fitness journey, check in on me, every month to see how I'm doing. Or, you make a post on Facebook, or just, you tell people, right? Because then that people are probably going to ask you, hey, how's that going? Right. So that's, a lower level of accountability that's more soft, right? But I think that investing in an actual coach, like, it just takes it to a whole new level, because the accountability from an actual coach that cares is like a lot stronger. Like, you can't like compare that, with, checking in, like on a daily basis, really making sure that you're doing the right things that you're supposed to do. Now it's a little bit different on how it works, like online, because, with an online standpoint, with accountability, I think it's actually stronger because, like me personally, like I check in on my online clients every single day. They literally hear from me every single day. It's almost like I'm their parent. I'm like looking over their shoulders, and it's a lot of pressure. And I've noticed that, with that, I think having that accountability so strong, it's a lot of pressure, but I think it leads to better results because people stick with it.
Right.
If they didn't have that, they most likely they wouldn't follow through.
Yeah, they would quit, and I think it also helps with consistency as well. Like 90 days, I don't know what your experience is, but even I'm sure with 90 days worth of training, like they're already changing their mindset. Like, okay, like eventually this is going to be part of my lifestyle and not just something I do. It's part of your lifestyle, which it is. It's part of my lifestyle.
Yep, that's key. Yeah. That's key right there. It's the identity shift.
Yeah.
So
since you mainly focus with entrepreneurs and business owners, what they often have a lot of stress in their lives, right? And
it's always stressful.
It seems to never end. But how does that play into their health and fitness journey? The stress, and do you see it impacting them? And then is there ways to monitor it, lower it, or recommendations that you could offer?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. So basically with stress, I think, all my clients, all the clients that I've worked with were severely stressed. When they start, they usually are very, very stressed. And one cool thing about that is, I know it sounds cheesy, but, the exercise really, really does help with lowering down the stress levels. So it's like, within the first month, they usually start to see results, and they start to feel better. Their stress levels goes down. So that's the number one thing. I think the exercise, is the number one thing to improve mood, anxiety, depression, stress, because you feel good, like hands down. So that would be the number one, I think, medicine, right? And it actually reminds me of a quote, because there's a quote that says, food is the most abused drug for stress, anxiety, and depression, and exercise is the most underused form of medicine. And I think that plays like key into this, but that's sort of like answer the question. I think I went off.
No, that's great.
That's perfect. Yeah. And what about sleep and rest? Because I know that's another thing that I think entrepreneurs, suffer from. Yeah. So, and just maybe talk to that about how that plays into your health and fitness journey.
Yeah. So the sleep, that's so true that you just touched on that. And it's actually funny because I was having a conversation with two of my clients just yesterday about lack of sleep, and we were kind of talking about how our brains are just like always so fired up with, ideas and, and things and et cetera. And it's true. So I think that maybe it is something about the entrepreneur brain. They were like, just like more wired and everything, and it's sleep. I can say that for myself because I've never really been much of a sleeper. I don't really get that much sleep, but we all know that, realistically for most individuals, like, please, entrepreneurs like watching this, like try to get 6 to 8 hours of sleep a night. That is, that's the recommended guidelines. I know sometimes it's hard, but it is important though to proper sleep is super important, when it comes to fitness, for proper recovery. Like recovery and the sleep kind of goes together, some ways, to improve sleep. I think that honestly, again, exercise is going to be one because once you are training consistently, your body is going to feel that, right? And at the end of the day, you're going to sleep almost like a baby. Like if you're having really good workouts, like you're going to sleep good.
Right.
I've noticed for myself, like when I have a week that I haven't really been able to hit the gym, like I notice I sleep a little bit differently. I am consistent at the gym, then my sleep is a little bit, I don't know how to say it, like deeper. You know what I mean? Yeah, and I've noticed that with clients too.
Awesome. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know how people do it with less than.
I know it's. I mean, it's hard. I mean, you're right. I mean, our minds are going 100 miles an hour sometimes, and it's sometimes hard to like, all right, calm the mind down. Sometimes meditating. Meditation. If some people use that to kind of calm their mind down before they go to sleep, but I also think that your diet plays a big role in this as well. Eating, I'm sure, after a certain period of time, and we say we hear a lot where 80% of fitness is your diet, right? And so maybe you can kind of give our listeners some pointers on maintaining a healthy and eating lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely true. 80%, of it would definitely be the diet, because at the end of the day, if diet is not on point, then you can't really, no workout training, is gonna, give you results like if the diet is not on point. So I think that's, definitely important. One tip of advice that I like to usually give is like, for people watching this, if you're thinking about following any diets or anything like that, just make sure that, your diet should fit into your life, not the other way around. So what I see people do a lot is like they try to fit a diet that's super restrictive, and strict. They can't do this and they can't do that.
Yeah.
And they try to fit that into their life, right? Specifically with entrepreneurs, and with the executives I've worked with, those things just never really worked for them, because it's, if they're restrictive, like most of these people are usually on the go, they're busy, they don't have time to cook. They're going out a lot, for business meetings, they're traveling a lot. Like they need to find something flexible that they can stick to long term, right? That's a problem with most diets anyway, is the sustainability,
right?
People will jump on it, they restrict themselves for a month or two or maybe three, then they can only do that for so long before they crash, and then boom, they go back to old habits, regain the weight back, sometimes even worse. Binge eating episodes start to happen because they've been restricted for so long. That's something that actually happened to myself when I first started, really crazy into the diet part. But I definitely don't recommend the strict the strict dieting. What I do myself personally now is what I recommend my clients, is what I preach, is a flexible approach. So, and how that works is, basically I focus, anywhere from 70 to 80% into, a very healthy diet. So like the basics, whole grains, lean meats, healthy fats, etc. Like real foods. But I leave either 20 or 30% to come from pretty much whatever I want, right? And that gives me a really, really good, flexibility, and it's something that I can, not only sustain for a long term, but I'm also not miserable on, not happy, with cravings, etc. So that would be my biggest piece of advice for anyone, is just to follow like a flexible approach like that. And the way that that would work is like, you just have to basically understand, roughly, how much you need to be eating, every single day in terms of, how many calories you need, how much protein is, and then just balance it out that way, into your meals.
Awesome. And what about you mentioned the entrepreneurs that are constantly on the go, a lot, eating out quite a bit. So you got some tips that have worked for your clients as far as that particular lifestyle? How do you get the proper nutrition in? How do you get
your protein in?
On the go. Yeah. And then you're eating out, so eating out, maybe restaurants, how they can kind of find what they need.
Yeah. So that can be very challenging, especially depending on the restaurant that that they're going, right? So one advice that I usually give to clients, and especially for anyone listening to this, is to prepare first. So look into the restaurant that you're going first, if possible, right? Take a look at their website, take a look at their menu, see what the options are. Do they have an option that would be a little bit healthier, that you can get, good amount of protein without going too crazy on calories, right? So that would be the best case scenario. Like with my clients specifically, I'll actually have them message me, like, if possible, whenever they're thinking about going out for a business meeting or something like that. And I'll be like, hey, just always send me, the restaurant that you're going. And then what I do, because I always try to make life easier for my clients. So I will do the research first, and I'll be like, hey, maybe let's go with a different restaurant because I can't really find it. Like, that would be good. But at the end of the day, if it's, let's say it's a once in a week type of deal, if you're not like traveling that much, you're just going out maybe once a week into a restaurant, I would just say not to worry about it and just enjoy the time off. Basically, have don't even worry about the nutritional point, just enjoy the time, with, especially if it's family, enjoy the time with family, enjoy a pizza or something like that, and just get back on track the next day, because sometimes it can be hard to find out exactly what's on all the ingredients, foods, at the restaurant. Sometimes they don't provide nutritional information, because I'm always looking into restaurants to find those things out, but so it can be challenging.
Yeah. Do you recommend I know we kind of follow when we're no fitness, like we're no educators on this space, so just relying on you, but I know Joni and I do a lot of, so we track, number one was we track what we eat. So that, I think that's important for people, is that,
right.
And there's all these apps that have all the restaurants and everything, so you can really track your food.
Macros.
And then we, depending on our goal or goal weight, we try to like 1 gram of protein for whatever desired goal weight or something like that. I forgot the calculation, and you could correct me, and then, we kind of gauge our calories from there, but, and we have percentages that we're kind of, trying to hit our macros. So, but it starts with the protein and your calories, and then it sets your, carbs and fats and, to be within that calorie range and hit that protein range. Is that roughly kind of what, and correct me whatever I said wrong, but.
No, absolutely. I think the tracking, like you mentioned, it's super important. I think having the data in front of you, especially for people that have never tracked before, it can be super eye-opening as well. Because if you're not tracking, then you're just going blind. Yeah. You might think that you're eating a certain amount of calories, right? Like I've met people before, they were like, I'm on a calorie deficit. I've been on a calorie deficit for 6 months and I haven't lost anything. But at the end of the day, like they actually were never truly on a calorie deficit because they weren't tracking, the cream that was going to the sugar. They weren't tracking the oil that they were cooking. They weren't tracking the dressing that was going on their salads. So once we start putting all things down, then it will give you like easily 500 calories that you never thought about.
It's amazing, right? It blows your mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. So definitely tracking, for anyone watching this, make sure you are tracking. But with your question, so the breakdown, like you mentioned, the calories, we start with the calories, and then basically, I think it kind of depends on the goal as well of the individual, right? So the macro breakdowns, can vary like crazy. As a rule of thumb, like the one, I think you mentioned that you were doing the 1.0 for per gram per body pound for the protein, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that would be okay. And actually, for most people, let's say for somebody that's on maintenance calorie, actually, they wouldn't need that much. They can actually get by with probably like 0.8, 0.9 versus the 1.0. Like the 1.0 is like getting pretty high, and that would be more ideal as well for somebody that's on a cut that is on a restricted calories. So if they were on a calorie deficit, they would need ideally like a very high amount of protein to prevent muscle breakdown and muscle loss during a cutting phase where they're not getting enough calories. So that would be ideal. But for most people, like that are just kind of maintaining, and just going by, like they can get by with like 0.8, 0.9 grams per pound of body weight.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. That was good That's getting like into the
yeah. But I mean,
details.
what I'm thinking about when you're talking about all this is that what's really cool still about what you do is that, you know, in business, like for Shawn and I, like we've always had a mentor, somebody to coach us, right, to get us to that next level. Where as entrepreneurs, like we're busy, so you know, having somebody like you to help them along their fitness journey, so they don't have to think about those things. Like you just tell me what to do, right? And I'll go do it.
And then to really like the tracking and your macros are your KPIs,
right?
You know? So like your numbers you want to hit and if you're tracking it and you should be trying to hit those every. So my goal always to be. I want my orange bars to be perfect. I don't ever want to see red or, you know, or shortage of them. And normally it's like, God, I fly through fats, like so. Like my fats is always. But it's amazing once you start tracking the food. Like it doesn't take much to blow through some of those.
Yeah,
it's amazing what stuff in certain foods. I want to ask you for entrepreneurs too, and this goes for us too. But you know, everybody enjoys. Not everybody. I say that wrong. But you enjoy a drink, right? Oh. Like on tonight, Friday night.
I thought you was going to say ice cream.
Ice cream too. If I can, so let's go have a drink and eat some ice cream. But no, just the alcohol. What's your thoughts on alcohol? Because entrepreneurs are always in social situations, and you know, you go to networking events, all that's always focused around alcohol. So yeah.
Yeah, so alcohol is a big thing, definitely. I personally enjoy alcohol, but I just keep it to moderation. I think with anything, you know, just like the diet, I think the moderation is key. Now there's been a lot of research, you know, different studies coming out, like a lot with alcohol, and at least from the last one that I've done my research on. Really, like we shouldn't really be too worried about it unless you are drinking on a daily basis and you're having like more than 5-7 drinks. Then you can start to worry about possible effects, especially for men. Like, you know, there can be you know, negative level impacts on, you know, testosterone levels and things like that. But like that's really like it would be somebody that's really exaggerating, you know, on a daily basis, you know, having way too many drinks. Yeah. I think socially drinking, like, you know, 2-3 drinks in a night, you know, maybe even 4, like it's not really going to impact anything. One thing to keep in mind, though, that I think a lot of people tend to forget is that like alcohol does have calories, you know, just by itself, right? So alcohol has 7 calories per gram, right? So even if you are having a shot of vodka or, you know, whatever it is, a clear alcohol, like you're looking at like 100, 150 calories right there. Like even if there's nothing in it. Right. The biggest problem is like when we start to, you know, add the fancy stuff and the juices and like, you know, all that stuff and that, you know, you're looking at like 1,000-calorie drink right there.
Yeah.
So, but like, really, like I wouldn't stress over it. You know, with my clients too, in those situations, I just tell them to, you know, keep it like moderate, you know, 2 to 3 drinks, you know, for the night and, you know, back on the wagon next day, you know, et cetera. One thing though with entrepreneurs too is you know, that you kind of touched on is the like sometimes for entrepreneurs, like I've tried to make it life a little bit easier in a certain way, and sometimes tracking might not work for some people. So sometimes meal planning might work a little bit better. Just, you know, in the sense of them not having to think about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because I've had one specific client that, you know, she was tracking for, you know, for a month and she was doing very good, but it was just taking too much of her thoughts. I guess she felt like she had too much to think about because I had her being pretty much flexible. So what I did for her then, I was like, okay, I'm going to create a meal plan that's already pre-calculated. So all you have to do is just, you know, prepare one day, measure everything out, just make sure everything matches what I gave you because that's already calculated. If you follow exactly what that is, it's going to give you the right amount of calories, protein, carbs, and fats. So, but biggest thing is just the numbers, the data, you know, that's like you said, is like really like the KPIs, you know, checking leads, you know, et cetera. So it's super important.
And that does help, Vinny, the meal planning. I know I do a lot of that. My kids are not a big fan of it because I eat chicken, like I can eat chicken all the time. But it definitely, as, you know, an entrepreneur and on the go a lot, it really, really like, you know, throw it in the the cooler and bring it to the office, and I have my food for the day. So really, really meal planning does help.
And I think just preparing, I think it's a disciplinary action. I think it makes a big deal for entrepreneurs if they, it sounds so small, but it makes a big impact. Like, so you, like the night before, you put out your clothes for the next day, you plan your next day.
Meals.
And it's easy during the week because a lot of times you're just going to the office. It's going to be the same kind of routine, not always, but weekends it gets a little off track. But you know, you put everything out the night before. But what I do is I plan in my app my meals for the next day. So I pretty much know what I'm going to eat that next day. So I know. So if I stay on track and I know where I'm going to go out to eat, I know what I'm bringing, I know, you know, hopefully what somebody's making for me in the morning. But you know, like I'll have it all mapped out, and then I'll know what I'll know if I exceeded my calorie. Oh God, yeah, because I thought of that. I'm like, oh well, hey, I got some extras. Maybe I can have that drink tomorrow, or you know, whatever. But you can really, I think if you map it out ahead of time, I think it makes a huge difference.
It does.
And then
Absolutely.
then trying to do it as you go, and then you end up realizing you go over. But
well, you know, one thing I want to get into as well. So just like in business, it takes a lot of work, right, to be successful in business. The same thing in fitness, right? If you want to see success, you've got to put in the work. You have to make it a priority. So give us some tips, our listeners some tips on if they want to make change, they want to be healthier, they want to be more fit. What are some practical tips or advice that you can give them to start?
So yeah, definitely you touched on a very good one. I love this question. And so I think the first step to create change is to take the first step and embrace the change first, because like I think change is a good thing. You know, it's a lot of people like associate you know, change with, you know, being uncomfortable, but being uncomfortable is actually where you're growing.
Right.
So you embrace that change.
Yeah.
Right. So take that first step, you know, embrace the change. The change is a good thing. And then, because if you are comfortable, that usually means that you're stagnant, you're not progressing. Right. So I think that the first step is just, just start. And then for you to because it's easy for most people to just sort of start, right? They will start, you know, a lot of people start, but most people don't finish, right? And that, I think that comes a lot with the consistency and the discipline, right? I think that a lot of people start, you know, because they were primarily relying on the motivation to start, but then they don't have what it takes to just kind of continue when things get hard.
Right.
Because like a fitness journey will really challenge your character, you know, when things get hard, like what's your default reaction, right? Like, is it to, you know, are you going to retreat when things get hard, or are you going to push harder? Right? So I think that's a big one. It's become more disciplined. And like the one way that I always give advice, I guess, with, you know, building discipline is to start small, you know, especially if you're someone that's, you know, new to, you know, to fitness. I would just start small, you know, just kind of like, you know, just going to the gym and just maybe doing, you know, just 10 minutes on the treadmill and just go home, you know, but create a habit first, you know, just so you're not overwhelming yourself, right? So like baby steps first, but build those habits, you know, and just gradually start to push a little bit harder, you know, and embrace the uncomfortable parts, right? Because like if you're uncomfortable like that, that's a good thing. Like you're making yourself comfortable, so you're growing and you're progressing. So I think that's the biggest one is like that mindset shift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Just the small, it reminds me of the book. Have you read Atomic Habits?
Yeah.
Great book.
Yeah. James Clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
But just the little, you know, you don't have to make a huge change. Just start somewhere, right? And those
just build upon it. It builds confidence too. Just doing those little, even if it's 10 minutes, like you said, consistently, it builds confidence where they start developing anyway. But yeah, and the people don't realize the body seeks comfortability. It doesn't want to work so it's always going to drift towards, but we got to be
stretch ourselves.
And conscious of like, hey, we need to get uncomfortable and then enjoy the uncomfortableness, because that's usually where the change happens. So it's awesome. What about talking about challenges and all that? Since you know this is an entrepreneur podcast, like tell us, as building your fitness business and online business, education business, what challenges have you experienced as an entrepreneur yourself in your own journey?
So for myself, I think my biggest challenge was really getting better at selling. That was my biggest one, because I'm a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Guys, like I know, like, I can talk all day about nutrition, training, motivation, discipline, etc., habits. But like when it comes to sales, I mean, I'm not a car salesman. When I first started, I just I didn't want to sell, basically, because I was like, I'm not a salesperson. Like, what am I doing? So that was kind of like the challenging part for me, because I didn't know how to deal with that. Like, I wanted to help people. That's what I want to do. Like, great results. I want to change their freaking life, with fitness, make them feel great, crushing business, in their fitness. But the biggest part was, like, if I can't sell them, then I can't get them to get those results, because most people that are out of shape, let's be honest, they can't really make good decisions for their health, and that's why they are in the position that they are.
Right.
So that's why they need someone to actually, not just sell them, but really, like, coach them through making a good decision. So that's how I started to look at it, instead of selling someone. And that's something that my mentor, really worked with my mindset with it, was to, he told me that, he was like, dude, you're doing a disservice to someone that's coming to you for help, and you don't run through their objection, because they're going to give you an objection. That's why they are in the place that they are in the first place.
Right.
If it wasn't the case, they would already be fit. Right. So if you don't learn how to sell and you overcome those objections and coach them into making a good decision, you're doing them a disservice. Right. And I was like, damn, like that really hit me.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, I just want to really help people, and I'm impact driven. So I want to make an impact on, individuals' lives. So I was like, I really have to learn how to maneuver, objection handling, things like that, and really understand how to coach someone into making the good decision. And then I don't even feel like I'm selling. So that was my biggest challenge, it was the sales part.
That's awesome.
Oh, love it. Yeah.
It applies to all
It
aspects.
does. Yeah. So Vinny, if you were just starting out, you could go back in your early 20s, what advice would you give yourself?
For myself, it would be, number one, I think I would have advised myself to start earlier on my fitness journey. I think I started at about 17, 18 years old. So I would advise myself to have started a little bit earlier, because, as we know, a fitness journey will really test will really help build your character.
Yeah.
We will, it will test really who you are, and have you really, build, discipline, consistency, resilience, so many good
Confidence.
life lessons, really, that you learn in your fitness journey, because it's not easy. Just like, life and business is not easy, right? So I think that once you go through a fitness journey, successfully, you don't give up and you don't stop. Like, you really, like, you feel unstoppable,
Right.
And that, you take that energy, that mindset into your business, like, you're going to crush in your business too.
Yeah.
So I think that I would have told myself to start earlier, and also start reading earlier as well on investing, financials, things like that, because I was never really taught that growing up. So I had to pretty much teach myself, over the years.
Yeah.
That would be another one.
That's awesome. What, any books that you would recommend?
For financial?
Anything. Yeah. Any of your favorite ones that you like?
I really like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's one. Yeah, it's a classic. What's it called? Can't remember now. Atomic Habits is one.
Yeah.
Think You Grow Rich.
Those are all really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are books that have been on my shelf now. So, but
awesome.
Guys, have any recommendations?
Tons of Shawn has a whole library of them.
I think we did a podcast. We did on our
top 10 books.
Favorite. I forgot what episode.
How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's one of my favorites. Power of One More is a good one. We can go on books, but we love to read too. But Vinny, what's your next? What are you looking to accomplish in the next 5 to 10 years?
So in the next 5 to 10 years, the goal is to scale the business and impact thousands of lives positively. My goal is because right now I basically wear all the hats in the business. I'm the marketer. I take care of clients. I do programming. I do check-ins. I do sales calls, I do it all, right? So it's a lot. So my plan is to really build to a point where I can start hiring, other coaches, to get into the business as well. And that way I have more free time for myself, and, I can be more present with my clients, because there's some things that I really, really would rather not do, like, tracking KPIs, things like that. I'm like, leave that to somebody else. Like, I'd rather just be, present with my clients. Like, I'm a person, so I want to be with my clients and providing them a really good service. So that's the goal, is to have, a team basically of people, under me, and just step out as more of like a CEO position into the business, and just really like be making a massive impact. Like, that's the goal, is a massive impact, worldwide. And I think that, I see that in my mind, like I see the vision in my mind, and I know it's just a matter of time.
Awesome.
That's great. I love this episode. Like I said, it's one of my passions. So bringing you on has been a treat for myself, but I think for others out there who are, maybe dabbling into fitness, or, want to start their fitness journey and don't know how, I think this is perfect. Like, that's your niche there, working with entrepreneurs, and that's great. I love it. So I love what you're doing, Vinny. How can listeners get a hold of you?
Instagram or Facebook would be the main ones. They can look me up on Instagram is at Coach Vinny Castanho, and Facebook Vinny Castanho.
Awesome.
Perfect. And we'll have all of that in the show notes as well, so people know how to get a hold of you.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you on the show today, Vinny, and thank you so much. And we'll see you next time, everyone. See ya.
All right.
You've been listening to Inside the Wolf's Den, an entrepreneurial journey with Shawn and Joni Wolfswinkle. Tons of entrepreneurial podcasts are out there. Talking. But Joni and Shawn are living it every single day. Their portfolio now includes many franchises and medium-sized businesses. We talk about the trials and motivators of successfully running a business. Join us again soon for another podcast. But until then, reach out on the website at InsideTheWolf'sDen.com, on Facebook at Inside the Wolf's Den, on Instagram at Inside the Wolf Den. We'll see you again soon. This is Inside the Wolf's Den. We'll see you next time.